When it comes to strokes, one of the leading causes of death and long-term disability in the U.S., minutes truly matter. Dr. Justin Chandler, the leading stroke specialist in the region from Centerpoint and Research Medical Centers, joins us now with a minute-by-minute timeline of how a stroke really unfolds so that if you or a loved one shows signs or symptoms, you really can get on it right away. You can act fast. We're going to talk about that word here more in a minute, but thank you for joining us. Let's talk about this timeline, because unlike really any other ailment we can suffer from, a stroke is the one that's on the tightest clock.
Carolyn, you are absolutely correct. Minutes matter when it comes to a stroke, and those minutes are very precious. For every minute that the brain does not get oxygen or blood, 2 million neurons die.
Okay, so what does that mean?
What that means is that the first thing you need to do is identify or recognize when someone is having a stroke. So let's define a stroke. A stroke is when there is either a lack of blood flow going to the brain, like when there's a clot, or when you have too much blood going to the brain, like when a blood vessel ruptures or bursts. Those are called ischemic for the clot and hemorrhagic for the bleeding types of strokes.
But do they give off the same symptoms?
They sure do, and that's what makes it so hard to distinguish between the two. So the symptoms that you would think of would be sudden onset inability to speak, sudden onset inability to understand what's being said to you, or sudden onset numbness or weakness or tingling in a part of the body, typically on one side.
One side, not the other.
Correct.
So interesting to me. And yet, is it the person who is suffering the stroke that knows something's wrong, or is it hopefully someone nearby that can see it quicker?
You know, oftentimes it's both. But often the person can't understand or get the words out to tell somebody that they're having a stroke. So it's important that we all understand those symptoms.
I got to tell you, this is one of the scariest subjects in all of medicine to me. So that's why this fast word keeps coming in. I think this bears repeating for everyone to hear.
Absolutely. So fast is the type of symptoms that we want to think about when we're first assessing a stroke, or when you think you or your loved one is having a stroke. The F stands for face. Is there a facial droop? Is there weakness on one side of the face? The A stands for arm. Is there weakness in the arm or numbness in the arm? And then the S stands for speech. Is there an inability to get words out, understand speech, or is it slurred? And then the T stands for time. And like we mentioned, minutes matter when it comes to a stroke.
Now, do I have to see all of those things happening, or just one of them?
No, just one of them is plenty. You should be very concerned that someone is having a stroke if you see one of those signs or symptoms.
Okay, so let's say that's happening. We've made the call. What happens next? Once that diagnosis is made, then what happens on your end?
Yeah, on my end, so this is great. If you recognize that and you call 911 right away, the ambulance is going to come. They're going to assess you or your loved one. They're going to do it very quickly. They will do the fast exam, and then they will bring them to the hospital. When you call 911, say, "I think it's a stroke." If you do that,
say those words.
Say those words.
Yeah.
That sets off a chain reaction so that I am down in the hospital, in the emergency room, waiting for you to arrive. We have prepared the CT scanner. We're going to look at your brain. We are going to do that all as quickly as possible. So saying those words, calling 911, recognizing those symptoms will get you very fast treatment.
And you've come such a long way, I know, in the clot-busting medicines and things that can be just done so quickly. It's just fascinating to me, yet so scary. So Dr. Chandler, we appreciate you bringing this to our attention yet again. For more from HCA Midwest Health, go to kctv5.com and click on the Health tab.